This is the second part of the topic, decoding the secret of humanity for easy tracking. If this is the first time you watch this content, it is best to watch the previous video. It is part 1, decoding the truth about humanity, a perspective from history to modern society to discover human nature. Video link I will leave in the comments section. Today, we're diving into the enigma of human nature through the lens of ancient Eastern wisdom, a perspective that offers a profound and holistic view of who we really are, drawing from the timeless teachings of thinkers like Confucius, the Buddha, and Lao Tzu. We'll peel back the layers of our instincts, desires, and contradictions. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a mirror held up to our modern lives, reflecting truths that ancient sages grasped centuries ago. Their insights sharp, unflinching, and often surprising cut through the illusions we cling to, revealing a side of humanity that's neither purely good nor evil, but something far more complex. So, buckle up for a journey that blends Eastern philosophy with the raw reality of today. Let's decode the secrets of what drives us, and maybe, just maybe, find a clearer way to navigate this wild ride called life. The whole video is more than an hour long, full of intense emotions that move people's hearts and expose the truth about humanity nakedly. Those who are too sensitive, then skip it. Now, let's start with the ancient art. Ancient wisdom. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that human nature is good or evil? From childhood to adulthood, many things we learn say that human nature is good. So, we have defined human beings as kind, grateful, loyal, grateful, and reciprocated, noble. The world of childhood is really, most people are all the incarnation of perfection, such as the feelings between teachers and students, friends and first love, because at that time our relationships basically have nothing to do with benefits. So, you were blinded by illusions, but when you enter society, your relationships begin to involve benefits. You will discover that their actions are completely contrary to what you have learned. For friends borrow money and don't pay back. Lovers have affairs, business partners betray, colleagues stab you in the back, siblings fight over property, don't care about the life and death of parents. When their behavior is not like what you learned as a child, you begin to be hurt by them, and your pain begins to continue. Human nature is good or bad. We can look at it from some angles. If human nature is born good, so why do the three major religions, Confucianism, Buddhism, have to set so many rules to limit human behavior? We all know Buddhism has many precepts, such as don't kill, don't eat meat, don't touch women. If human nature is really good, why do we need to consider human nature as a classic? If human nature is really good, then why does every country need laws to limit human behavior? So, remember that human nature is not good. That's why we need classic books on ethics and law to together maintain social stability. Looking at human nature through the perspective of movement. Everyone who has ever been a parent knows that when your child is still a newborn, in addition to looking gentle and lovely, you will discover that sometimes their behavior has no trace of kindness. The beliefs of newborns are very simple, just 8 words. If you are with me, you are with you. If you are against me, you are against me. Which means that newborns are born with self-centeredness. They do not put themselves in your shoes to think for you. Just when they want something, they will take it. If they cannot get it, they will cry. If they cry and still cannot get it, they will cry louder until only when you get what you want will you stop. This selfish thinking of children does not need anyone to teach it to beg. So, is human nature good or bad? I will tell you that human nature is neither good nor bad, but selfish. Every word or action of a person is just to satisfy one's own interests. This example will help you understand better. Suppose me and Tiyum, I have been in love for 5 years. In fact, in those 5 years, I did not love Tiyumai. I just do not have a girlfriend anyway. I am single. Having someone to take care of is always better than having no one. So, I reluctantly love Tiyumai. On the contrary, Tiyumai loves me to death. I am the man she loves most in her life, no one else. Just need her to see me. She will be extremely happy, just being with me. She will be happy like a god. So, in the years of being in love with Tiyumai, everyone can imagine, no need to say. Certainly Tiumai has taken care of me. She can walk kilometers to buy chicken soup for me to drink. She can save money to buy clothes for me. She can even cheat her parents' money to help me start a business in general. In those years, Tiumi's world only had me, and she sacrificed everything for me. The result, after 5 years, for some reason, our love could not continue. Me and Tiumai broke up because I was the one who proposed to break up first. At that time, the whole world, including Tiumai, cursed me as a bad person, saying that I was not a man. Some people said I was not worthy of being human. Some people even cursed me as an animal, and Tiumai cursed me even more viciously. She said, "Do you remember there was a time, because I wanted to cook a pot of broth for you to drink, I walked for kilometers? Do you remember there was a year I did not buy anything for myself, but was willing to buy you a whole wardrobe? Do you remember I cheated my parents' money to help you start a business, causing me and my family to turn against you? You are not a man." Music anyway. I have become a rat running across the street, being yelled at by everyone, unable to leave the house, being scolded to the point of unbearable. Let's analyze this issue seriously from the perspective of common morality. I really did wrong. I am a bad person, a beast. I am despised by the whole world. I have nothing to say. Let's analyze it from the perspective of human nature. First, me and Tiumai have been together for 5 years. I don't love Tiumai, but Tiumai loves me to death. Everyone can imagine I have been with someone I don't love for N years, while Tiumai has been with the person she loves the most for 5 years. Clearly, in those 5 years, I had to face someone I don't love every day. How did I live in pain, while Tiumai could be with the person she loves the most every day? I can be sure that Tiumai has lived very happily in those 5 years. Second, as Tiumai said, she sacrificed a lot for me. She walked kilometers to buy chicken just to be able to cook a pot of chicken soup for me to drink. So when she give me the pot of soup, who is happy, who is miserable for me? It's just a bowl of chicken soup. No matter who cooks it, it's the same. But for Tiumai, it's different. She saw the person she loved the most drinking chicken soup. She smiled so happily. Her heart was so sweet. She felt every sacrifice was worth it. She did everything without regret. Everyone, please realize one truth. Don't forget that in those 5 years, everything she did for me, I never forced her. She did everything she did voluntarily. Why did she do it voluntarily? Because when she sacrificed for the person she loved, she felt extremely happy. Everyone, pay attention to this sentence. Everything she sacrificed could make her feel extremely happy. So, from the selfish perspective of human nature, everything she sacrificed was just to make herself happy. On the surface, she did a lot for me. But in reality, she only did it for her own happiness. So, morally, she is a good person. I am a bad guy. But the truth is that in those 5 years, I lived in misery. While Tiumai could be with the person she loved and could even sacrifice for the person she loved the most, she lived very happily in those N years. So, the truth is that I had to endure 5 years of misery so that she could have 5 years of happiness. Maybe I'm not that bad of a guy, but let me emphasize again that I also don't support such behavior from men. I'm also a bad guy. I tell this story as an example to illustrate, not to show you the path to follow. Don't misunderstand. Through this story, I believe that everyone can see for the first time the truth of the problem. Why is Tiumai suffering? Why do people curse me as a bad guy? Because most people in this world live in a sweet world every day, not knowing anything about the truth of human nature. Human nature is selfish. Those who understand their selfish nature can understand human nature. And only when they understand human nature can they stand firm on the top to evaluate the change between good and evil in human nature. We need to rely on benefits. When there is no relationship of benefits, human nature is good. Only need benefits to appear. Human nature is selfish. If the benefits are big enough, human nature will become evil. Let's tell a story. My mother has 6 siblings, 1 older sister, 1 younger brother, and 3 younger sisters. And my mother is 63 years old this year. Among them, there are 4 sisters who bought a piece of land in their hometown to build a building with the hope of living together and enjoying family joy. but they also have a big worry. That is the fear that living together for a long time will lead to conflicts because of small things. My mother asked my opinion, and I told her that the sisters were all born from the same womb, and even the youngest one was past the age of no longer being skeptical. So, in small daily matters, everyone will sympathize with each other, and my mother should rest assured to live happily with them in the last years of her life. When I told my mother this, my grandmother passed away a few years ago, and her fortune, her estate, has been settled. Although her grandmother is not rich, a house and some cash in the countryside is still considerable. Because her estate has been settled, I believe that the sisters will not encounter major conflicts of interest when living together. If her grandmother and her estate are still there, I will find it difficult to predict the consequences. They may have major conflicts. That is the fact that when my grandmother passed away a few years ago, the division of the estate made them unhappy, and some of the sisters had conflicts, but fortunately, it was not too serious. The one who caused the most conflicts was my uncle, because he was the son. According to the feudal ideology of the countryside, my uncle thought that all of my grandmother's assets should belong to my uncle. Note that my grandmother divided the estate equally, and my uncle only received a little more than my grandmother. I was in bed for over a year, and my uncle never visited until she passed away. My aunts were very angry, but I know that my uncle's actions were in line with human nature, which is the nature of seeking benefits and avoiding loss in people. Note that the current relationship has been mended, so whether it is relatives, friends, or lovers, no matter how good they are, you cannot completely trust them, because once there is a conflict of interest, these people will definitely hurt you the deepest. The more the interest, the more selfish human nature becomes. And when selfishness reaches a certain level, human nature will become evil. Looking at all the ancient kings fighting, you cannot see the shadow of goodness, like the Xuanwu Gate coup, of Li Shimin killing his brother and younger brother. Even Wu Zixin killed her own son. Trey Lai Songkutan Hat was born in 1993 to 10-year-old boys who did not study at all decided to kidnap a 2-year-old boy to play, and eventually brutally killed that 2-year-old boy. They were later arrested by the police, one of whom, named John, admitted without denying the killing of the child. The other put all the blame on John. Herself escaped all the blame error, and clearly shows the selfish nature of humans, always looking for benefits and avoiding harm. This is a murder case that shocked Liverpool, England, and then this story was brought to the screen to be filmed as a short film called Detainment, and was also nominated for an Oscar. All thoughts about good and evil of mankind start from the idea when you assume that human nature is good, you will assume that all people are good people. When you assume that human nature is evil, you will assume that all people are bad people. For example, you know 10 friends. If you assume that all 10 of them are good people, you will expect them to treat you well every day. If one day, out of those 10 friends, betrays you, you will definitely not be able to bear the pain, and such a life will make you live in misery. This philosophy of life is called 9 lives, 1 death. On the contrary, if you assume that all 10 of those friends are not good people, you will not have any expectations of them. I am talking about the assumption in your heart. If one day, suddenly someone treats you well, you will feel like you have won the lottery, and this unexpected joy will make your life happy. This philosophy of life is called one life of sheep. I have noticed that the vast majority of people like to live by the philosophy of one life of sheep. Like many couples, when they get married, they often assume in advance that their marriage will be happy and also promise each other a beautiful love, live together until old age, never to separate. If one day they divorce, this couple can easily turn against each other to hate each other to death and never see each other again. I encourage married people to keep the mindset of one life of sheep. Don't let fairy tale love stories cloud your mind. If from the beginning you don't assume that everything will be perfect, then divorce will be in your prediction, and you won't feel miserable. If you can live together until old age, that will be a surprise, right? But honestly, in this world, there's no how many people have that kind of intelligence. The more selfish people are, the happier their lives are. You are really selfish. Is this saying familiar from childhood to adulthood? Everyone around us teaches us not to be selfish. In our minds, we have planted a seed that selfishness is not good. It is a word with a negative meaning, causing many people to not live true to themselves throughout their lives. Many people do everything just for others to see, and many people live just to please others. For example, when someone smiles, they have to ask themselves if that smile makes others smile. Is that smile beautiful? Have they committed anything wrong? Please smile for yourself once. Otherwise, one day when you leave this world, you will no longer have the chance. Another saying, dying for honor and living in pain, is the image of the majority. People who want honor are living for others, living in the eyes of others. Tell everyone an example. Once I was about cuckoo. There was a class where everyone ate a meal together. We chose a restaurant. At that time, a classmate immediately took out your phone and called to make a reservation at the restaurant. The whole process of calling is as if you have a big business relationship with the restaurant owner. At that time, many classmates were attracted to you and thought that this classmate has a large relationship. You know, every restaurant you can find, it's really prestigious. When we went to the restaurant, the whole restaurant was full, only our table ate. You said, isn't that studying useless? Honestly, in my world, people like that live very tiredly. They live completely for others. I'm a very simple person. If I want to laugh, I laugh. If I want to cry, I cry. I laugh or cry to make myself comfortable. I don't care if the people around me are comfortable or not. The highest level of Buddhism says that Min Tam Keen Tin means the existence of one's own nature. For example, when you were from 1 to 3 years old, you were almost never polluted by the surrounding environment. All your actions came from your own thoughts. That is the existence of your own divine nature. You can recall how wonderful your 3-year-old is, fearless of heaven and earth. Feel this world is yours. You can do everything. When you grow up, after going through education, you are no longer the person you were before. You have become a robot, doing whatever others do every day. Repeat. Because selfish nature is faded. Do you know why people are afraid of death? The reason people are reluctant to leave this world is because they still have regrets. If a person lives their whole life without any regrets, when they leave, it will definitely be with a peaceful mind. If there are still regrets, how can you let go? So, people who live for others cannot be without regrets. Everyone. This life is like a train traveling alone in the corridor of life. Be a little selfish and live well for yourself once. When leaving, do not leave regrets because human nature is selfish. You just need to express it a little more perfectly. Evolutionary theory about the selfish nature of humans. Let me share a story of a woman. A poor single mother raised 2 children, one 9 years old and one 8 years old. The 2 children huddled in the house waiting for their mother. They were cold and hungry, hugging each other tightly to keep warm. Their mother had been out all day. They missed their mother very much, and missed her even more the food that their mother had brought home since the last time they ate, which had been 2 days before. At that time, their mother had brought home 2 pears. The 2 brothers gave in to each other a few times. The 2 pears were passed back and forth between their hands. In the end, the older brother ate the bigger one, and the younger brother ate the smaller one. Their mother sat next to them, a smile on her lips. She always taught the children to give in to each other and help each other. The children obeyed her, even when they were very hungry. They did not fight over food. Unexpectedly, the older son gave the pear to his mother and said, "Mom, eat a piece too." The younger son also raised the pear. The mother's eyes were wet. Her mother said, "I love you. I'm not hungry." The 2 children looked at each other and continued eating with bigger pieces. Their mother turned away, tears falling down, remembering that their mother had always kept good things. The most for me to remember all that mother has done for me. Outside, the cold wind blew, and now mother returned. The child stared at the bread in mother's hand and shouted, "Mother, this warm story. Can you see the selfish nature of human beings? Can you see the selfish nature of children when looking at that bread? No matter how educated, human nature never changes." The next analysis may be very harsh, but it is the truth. Human selfishness. There are 2 types, material and spiritual. Material selfishness is people die for money, birds die for bait, and spiritual selfishness. You can often hear the saying, "You only care about your feelings." Have you ever thought about my feelings? Spiritual selfishness is enjoying your own inner joy. From the story above, we can see, from the first minute seeing Mother, the first thing the two brothers saw was food, because they were really hungry, and their concession was only due to Mother's education and social morality. People will say that it is the survival instinct when hungry. You are right. That further proves that human nature is selfish. People are born to be selfish. Whether it is human nature or survival instinct, to survive, we will naturally eliminate opponents. Some people will say the two children in the story also give in to each other, also give pears to their mother to eat. If their nature is selfish, then through education has not also changed, is wrong. Human selfish nature cannot change. Change is only from low-level selfishness to higher-level selfishness through education. They have realized the value of giving in and love. Their actions are just their inner emotional needs. Doing so makes them feel comfortable and happy. This comfort and happiness is the selfishness they want to satisfy their inner self. No matter how much you think of others, it is all based on some of your own needs and purposes. Just different levels of concealment. A person helps others, in addition to doing good for others, is actually satisfying their spiritual needs yourself. A good person, do you remember the saying, not helping people is the source of joy? That means when you help others, you will feel happy, and that joy is the selfishness you receive. Take an example. When you see a leader with great vision, that person is also very good, always thinking of others. Have you ever wondered why? He is so good to others. He is good to others because he wants these people to be able to repay him later, right? You can say that there are people who do good deeds without leaving their name, without expecting any reward. If you dare to say so, I want to ask you, how do you know about these people? For example, you help someone today, you do not expect any reward from them, but when you help them, you feel very happy inside, and that joy is your selfishness is also the greatest reward for you. Many people think that the love of parents for their children is selfless. As the father of two children, I will talk about my feelings. My second daughter was born. We took care of her every day without expecting anything. But everyone in the family felt extremely happy. Pay attention that we feel extremely happy. And that happiness is emotional selfishness when we give everything to her. Love my daughter not because of her feelings, but because of our own feelings. Of course, the selfish love is beneficial for children. This is not to be doubted. I recently experienced an event that had a great impact on my life. I want to share so that everyone can learn. My friend's son was sick. Not a mild illness, but quite serious. My friend definitely had to visit. When I came, my friend kept crying. My friend definitely had to comfort her. I said, no one wants their child to be like that, but crying doesn't solve the problem. Crying too much also hurts your body. I believe your child also doesn't want to see such results. Some people believe in the good nature of people. Some people believe in the CH is very bad. But I always believe in the selfish nature of humans. When I saw this mother crying because of her child, I felt that she had absolutely no selfish elements. I still doubted whether the theory of the selfish nature of humans had any problems. And then that mother answered a sentence that startled me. If I said it out loud, it would definitely startle you too. She said, Kwong, oh, I understand what you said. But when I cried, I felt a little better. Everyone, please think about this. Saying, this is what she said herself. She said that when she cried, she felt a little better. She cried to feel better. There was still an element of self. Human instinct will automatically help you selfishly. Loving your children is true. Making yourself feel better is also true. Making yourself feel better, this saying you should think about. When you understand this saying, you have a very strong ability to control human nature. Of course, selfishness also has many different levels. Not just caring about yourself is selfish. Selfishly doing good for others, expecting a reward in the future, is also selfishness. I hope you can have selfishness at a higher level. Your kindness has been eaten by wolves. Your kindness can never satisfy human desires. You have devoted all your heart to them. but when you also encounter difficulties. Just one time of helping them does not meet their expectations. Resentment will take root in their hearts. Sun Li, a Chinese actress, once supported an ungrateful person named Xiang Hai King for years. She learned about the situation of a 10th grade boy in the mountains named Xiang Hai King. Through a program, the boy did not have money to go to school, so she supported him. When Xiang Hai King went to university, he spent money innocently and even skipped school to fall in love and neglect his studies. When Sun Li learned about his behavior, she stopped supporting him. But unexpectedly, Xiang Hai King turned around and wrote a long article to sue Sun Li for wanting to destroy her reputation. Sun Li was pushed into the center of the storm by public opinion. She never thinking that the person she had helped with all her heart for many years had turned out to be ungrateful and Becca. Use of this, Sun Li felt scared and did not dare to easily support others anymore. Now, she has switched to supporting stray cats and dogs. The Chinese singer Gong Fei, although only a B-list singer, but his CSAN does not hide to help poor students. He has participated in hundreds of performances. All the money earned was used to support poor students. A total of 183 students were supported and more than 300 gifts. He and his family live in a house of only 58 square meters. Poor life. In the house, there's no valuable furniture. The clothes in the closet are all cheap. Only the white performance outfit has some value. In 2005, the Gong Fei was diagnosed with stomach cancer, needing a large amount of money for treatment. But those who have high income thanks to the help of Gong Fei chose to stay silent. What is more infuriating is that during the time he was sick, there was no one who he helped came to visit him. The only one who spoke up were the students asking for living expenses. The pilot replied that he had stomach cancer and was being treated in the hospital and temporarily had no money. The response from the students' parents even more so, "You will make money. When did you promise to support my child to study until university? Now my child is only in junior high school. You left. This isn't a scam? Is this the real version of the story, the farmer and the snake? I helped you with all my heart, but in the end, you bit me back. I only need one refusal. When your kindness can't meet their expectations, the first thing they think of is not sympathy and gratitude, but blame and scolding." The British writer William Make said, "If a person, after receiving a great favor, turns his back on the person who helped him to save his own face, they will certainly be more cruel than unrelated strangers. They need to prove the other person's guilt to explain the indifference and meaninglessness yours. The mean nature of people often exceeds your imagination. You feed a dog for 3 days. The dog remembers you for 3 years. You are good to others for 3 years. They forget you for 3 days. You give a beggar 10 dong every day. One day you only give 1 dong. They will curse you behind your back every day. Only give a beggar 1 cent. One day you suddenly give 10 dong. They will be extremely grateful. Want to thank all 8 generations of your ancestors. Human nature is usually 100 minus 1 equals 0. 0 plus 1 equals 100. Understand this formula, you will understand human nature. Helping people is a joy, but not everyone deserves to be helped. Save people in trouble, not poor people. People with poor souls will definitely betray your kindness in the end. Make you cold. Kindness is not wrong, but once you help the wrong person, that is a big mistake. Unlimited kindness will not receive gratitude. Only in exchange for revenge trap of the wrong person. Kind, you are a good person. This is the saying that many people pursue all their lives today. This highest praise becomes a merciless judgment. For the weak, when you are forced to wear the hat of a good person, you will have to bear the burden that you do not want. You have to become a reserve in love. Become a mediator in love. Become a screw. Never have a chance to advance in work. You feel injustice. You say you will become evil from now on, but you say cruel words to your heart. Timid, you do not dare to betray the values that you have built from childhood to adulthood. You do not even know how to become evil. You consider yourself a good person, but do not get the results you want. You want to become a bad person, but find out that everyone around you is disgusted with your attitude. You do not know where the problem lies from beginning to end. Many students ask me, being bullied by others, working hard but not earning money, being cheated by husband but having to leave alone, a penny in pocket, and many problems. Another issue, they asked me if I wanted a peaceful solution for the world. I want to say, a problem that happens because of many years of accumulation is not a solution that can be solved. I think you should pay for the stupidity of the past. If stupidity does not need to be paid price, a solution that can be solved, that it is not an insult to us who read a lot, typing tens of thousands of words every day. A person has lived in the sewer for 20 years. How to turn a bad smell into a good smell is not a changeable method, because the bad smell has penetrated to the bone. Depending on the change, there are two factors. The first is the perfume tank. That is, to find the right mindset. The second is the time factor. 20 years of bad smell. It takes at least 2 to 3 years to change. How useless must a person be to be praised by others for their morality? Not to mention famous people with noble virtues? To be realistic, you will sadly discover a truth that, usually when we praise others for their morality, it is for see that person really has nothing to praise in other areas. Think carefully about the excellent friends around you. Your first reaction is, this person is so handsome and pretty. This person has high IQ, smart and cunning. This person is too smart. But if I suddenly mention a friend of yours who is not outstanding, you will definitely say like this, I feel that person is quite good. So don't fool yourself anymore. Don't think that other people say you have a good personality is something to be proud of. Good when you don't have any strong points that other people can say about you. They don't know how to praise you. They can only say you are a moral person. You need to think, do you want benefits or do you want fame? When you want to be a good person, you need to be mentally prepared. You can only get fame, not benefits, because good people need to keep their dignity, know how to regulate. When you are a good person, you need to have a good image, but you need to understand that if you don't do it, someone else will do it. You need to keep your dignity. You are shy. There are always people ready to approach the girl you like at first sight. You are picky, high ego, cannot lower yourself. Then there is always someone ready to chat with that girl all night. You are not proactive. You do not dare to try. Next time, the man who goes with her will hold her hand. In career, many upright people will be robbed of promotion opportunities by those who like to stand out. You must know that opportunity is yours. I used to work in a company with an employee. He worked there for more than 10 years, always praised as a hard worker. Is the company's moral example? The hateful thing is that others do not hesitate to climb up, while my colleague is still in the same position with the same salary. His greatest achievement is just receiving the reputation of a good person without any benefit. Successful people will always tell you that when working, you need to be polite, know your place, and know how to be humble. Given to that because only successful people write history, and they do not want you to be the next successful person. So, do not be a coward, being brainwashed by the rich to become a good person, not daring to fight for what you deserve. Not being a good person does not mean you have to go rob, kill, set fires, does not mean you have to do horrible, unreasonable things to prove that you are not a docile sheep that is brutally beaten. I want to tell you that the good person that you have played in the past is not a good person in the literal sense, but just a term to refer to incompetent, arrogant, and cowardly people. A real good person has principles, has moderation and limits. In real life, there are people who live very miserable and difficult lives because they want to become a perfect good person. In the eyes of others, always put the needs of others first. Forget their own feelings. Let themselves be pushed into difficult situations. Also have to please others. Good people like that, we often call it people-pleasing addiction. These people have two misconceptions. The first misconception, I am good to others. They will be good to me. As long as I am good to them, they should also be good to me. Otherwise, it means as I have not done well enough. These people, when giving in their hearts, expect a response from others. Once this expectation is not met, they will think that they have not done enough and will set higher demands for themselves and, of course, also expect more from others. When you give to someone, do not expect them to reciprocate. For example, I give someone a pear. I do not expect them to give me one back. For example, I appreciate a talent, give them 10 shares. I do not expect them to treat me well. I invest in their ability will create value for the company far beyond the shares I gave them. If one day I am disappointed, I will not have any opinion. I just consider it a failed investment. Business always, sometimes it works, sometimes it does not have expectations in human nature. This is important. Second misconception. Only by continuously giving can a good relationship be maintained. It must be admitted that to maintain a good relationship, a certain degree of patience is required. Tolerance and giving are necessary, but blindly and endlessly giving not only does not make your relationship with others better, but can also destroy that relationship. Why do I say that? When you give without expecting anything in return, you will create a kind of emotional kidnapping for others and also deprive them of the opportunity to reciprocate. In any healthy relationship, there is no such thing as a one-sided giver. So, give others the opportunity to reciprocate your kindness at the right time, or proactively ask them for help. This will make the relationship between you and them stronger. Flattering people is not as good as flattering dogs. In psychology, there is a term called the Beaker's Law. When applied to emotional relationships, it means that if you are only one-sidedly nice to someone, not only will you not receive gratitude from them, but they will also consider it normal, even demanding no limit, increasingly increasing the exploitation of your giving. Writer San Mao, in The Straw Man Diary, recorded such an event during the time she studied abroad in France. Before leaving, her family constantly reminded her to be patient and take care of the people around her. When she went out, put herself in the shoes of others to think that it was okay to suffer a little loss. San Mao remembered her parents' advice to treat everyone in a friendly and warm manner, often taking the initiative to help her roommates clean up, even make the bed and blankets. However, her roommates were not as grateful as San Mao imagined. On the contrary, they took advantage of her kindness and ordered her to do dirty and tiring work. Faced with the increasingly unreasonable demands of the members of the room, San Mao always gave in and tried to satisfy them. But could such sacrifice be exchanged for sincere feelings? The answer was no. During a room inspection, San Mao, who always followed the rules, was misunderstood by the principal. But none of her roommates stood up for her. They even made fun of her. San Mao realized that not all kindness can be exchanged for true feelings, and in the end, she chose to transfer. Get out of the dormitory. When you are too good to someone, they will not consider you anything. If you treat them a little worse, they will treat you like garlic. That is the strange nature of people around us. There are many people who know how to observe and perceive. Many people praise them for having high EQ. Knowing how to observe and perceive is not a bad thing. But taking care of other people's feelings too much is flattery. That is the flattery personality that we often talk about. Talking about the flattery personality, many people do not feel strange. In social communication, we all have a part of flattery hot in me. I have a colleague who is called by the whole company as the person with the highest AQ. He has never argued with anyone. He knows that helping colleagues to complete their work will make him tired and have to suffer, but to be loved by everyone. He stayed up late working overtime to help colleagues complete their work. In communicating with friends, being patient only makes himself gradually lose his ego and even become weaker and weaker. His flattery, no principles, no limits. Making yourself miserable to please others. This misery is just a way to convey a message. I treat you so well. Can you treat me a little better? That's what flatterers want to show but are afraid to say it. They never dare to ask others in return. They never refuse other people's requests. These people try their best to flatter others, try to show themselves, longing to be loved by others, but the indifference of others pushes them into the abyss. People with flattery personality, they are afraid of conflict with others. They don't dare to express their true thoughts, don't dare to convey negative emotions. Gradually, they live more and more fake and less valuable because they are afraid of not being loved by others. So, they always observe other people's expressions, discover other people's needs, immediately find ways to meet, fear of being hated by others. Whether reasonable or not, to integrate into the community, you are not allowed to conflict, even if you have to wear it down the corners of yourself. Remember that the more you try to please others, the cheaper you become, the more self-conscious and less respected by others. Pleasing others is self-harming and is also the biggest violation of your self-worth and your life. How to change your personality to please others. I'd rather betray the whole world than let the world betray me. This is a famous quote by Cao. Cao, study him. Many people despise this quote. I dare not agree with. I tell you, successful people all have this mentality. When do you not hate this quote? Your opportunity will come. People with a personality to please others always think that I have to do something for others to like me. I have to lose something to make others like me. Being loved by others is not your purpose in life. On the contrary, the purpose of life is to recognize and love yourself. These people always play the role of messengers of peace, maintaining a harmonious atmosphere. Even when conflicts arise, they think they should apologize, not other people's mistakes. You need to understand that even if you have conflicts with others, even if you are abandoned by others, even if you do not meet the needs of others, you will not lose your life. Instead of always giving up your self-esteem to please others, be confident to please yourself. Life is to do the things you love. People who do not know how to respect themselves will never receive respect from others. People who do not know how to love themselves will not receive love from others. People who try to please others can only live a lowly life all their lives, like orphans living under someone else's roof. Instead of constantly pleasing others, show your personality so that others can please you. People who truly appreciate you, they appreciate your confidence and demeanor, not your false modesty. All the trouble is caused by you. A student asked me why he was devoted to everyone. But these people not only did not appreciate him, but also did not respect him. They even bullied him. He said, "Teacher, why is that? In this society, there are not a few people like that. Most of them bring disaster upon themselves without any results, not caused by themselves. Why don't others respect you? Because you are a person without principles. Others say good things. You also say good things. Others say bad things. You also say bad things. At first, others may think you are easy to talk to, but over time, they only see you as a fool. Many people misunderstand you, always polite to everyone, not daring to offend anyone. Showing a personality like Buddha. This is not tolerance, but no limits. At first, others can say thank you, but over time, even saying thank you becomes a waste. Really good people are definitely clear about love and hate. Why don't others respect you? Because you don't know how to refuse. Anything that comes to you, you agree. Anything others give you, you consider it a treasure. Over time, others will consider you as a trash can. As long as there is trash, they will throw it at you because they don't dare to throw it there elsewhere. In the bones of humans, there is always the existence of pettiness. Why do others not respect you? Because you do not know how to take advantage of the opportunity to express anger. When you should be angry, you do not get angry. When you should not get angry, you get angry. A person who never gets angry, no one respects. A person who gets angry every day, no one is afraid of. Finding the right time, conditions, and circumstances to get angry so that everyone knows your boundaries is the sign of a good person. Tell me about a personal experience of mine. Think carefully. Actually, every first meeting, we should understand that people are not scary, but human nature is scary. People will respect you because they do not understand you and, of course, do not dare to do something dangerous. More than 10 years ago, when I was still working in the company, our department had a new manager. The first day he met me, he was very respectful and nodded his head in greeting because he did not know who I was. Then, this manager checked every person in our department. When he checked me, he had an easygoing personality. He started criticizing me, even scolding me. When checking other colleagues, he realized they are not easy to bully. And in front of other colleagues, this manager became like a dog. One time, I was late and forgot to inform in advance. He scolded me for a while, saying I was disrespectful. He did not consider him anything. Because of this incident, I almost resigned. But other colleagues came when they wanted to come or not come. Then that's it. He didn't even dare to say a word. Every time he asked if others were okay. Now I'm writing a book in my head. Still, his disgusting image. After many years, I just understood that all the bad consequences were caused by myself. From then on, I understood that other people's attitude towards you does not depend on them but on you. Because you are too kind, always think of others. Because you are easy to talk, endure everything without knowing how to refuse. Because you are always bad at studying, cannot be decisive. Kindness needs to have limits. Generosity also needs to have principles. Don't distinguish right from wrong. You only know how to do good for others but hurt yourself. Let others take advantage of. Don't be a good person without limits. Anything others ask you to do, you agree. Anything others want, you give. Any mistake, you forgive. Any hurt, you accept. Even the best person will not be able to control the urge to bully you. You must understand that people are not scary, but human nature is scary. Just seeing you easy to talk to, others will constantly bother you. Seeing you easygoing, they will be more difficult with you. Seeing you don't refuse, they will try to demand more from you. When they get used to your submission, they will not stand your resistance. Get used to your concessions, they will not stand your rejection. People often bully the weak and fear the strong. If you don't have the spirit, they will bully you. If you are angry, they will not dare to bother you. If you speak firmly, they will find a way to please you. When others bully you for the first time, they are actually testing to see if you are easy to bully. If your actions show them you are easy to bully, they will continue to bully you. If your actions show them that you are not easy to bully, they will not dare to bully you anymore, and they will choose to bully others. So, it is not their fault that others often bully you, but your fault that you gradually teach them how to bully you. Be a good person with tricks. There's an ancient proverb that says that good people are deceived by others. Heaven does not deceive evil people. People fear heaven, but heaven does not fear them. The meaning is that good people are easily deceived by others, but heaven will not deceive them. An evil person is feared by everyone, but heaven does not fear him. Of course, heaven will not fear evil people, because the actions of evil people actually have nothing to do with heaven. The great sign of heaven is that it does not deceive good people, nor is it afraid of evil people. In fact, it teaches us that if you are too good, you will be deceived by others. If you are an evil person, everyone will fear you. But will heaven punish evil people? Does everyone forget that Lao Tzu once said that heaven and earth are inhumane and treat all things like grass? This means that heaven and earth treat all things like grass species. There's nothing to hate, but also nothing to pity. The heaven and earth are inherently indifferent. If there is love, then it will also grow old, right? That is why there is a saying, heaven is weak, love heaven is also deceitful. Heaven is enjoying the purity in heaven and does not care about small things. Are evil people deceive good people on earth? So, in the business world, some experienced people deceive each other to make their money. Heaven enjoys its purity. No one cares about anyone. Tao Te Ching teaches us that heaven and earth operate without using benevolence. Just let it be. That means the attitude of heaven and earth towards humanity is to let it develop naturally. Has anyone noticed the fact that if heaven is really angry, both good and bad people will suffer the fire, like a natural disaster? Earthquake does not distinguish between good and bad people. So, we must combine benevolence with skillful handling. Benevolence without skillful handling is ignorance. Living in this world without a little cunning. How do you deal with bad people? What you learned when you were young is to deal with good people. Don't just be a good person, be a bad person. Good on the outside, but good on the inside. When you appear bad in the eyes of others, the relationship will usually last longer because the basic cause of all broken relationships is due to expectations leading to disappointment. You are too good to them, they will take it for granted. At this time, if something is not to their liking, they will resent you. If at first you make them feel that you are quite difficult, lower their expectations. Then suddenly you are a little nice to them, they will feel surprised. You may not stab yourself into others, but you must have thorns. You may be compassionate, but you must be sharp. I can invite you to a meal worth to 100,000 VND or drink wine worth to 100,000 VND. But if you owe me 100,000 VND, you must pay. That is the rule. If someone orders you to buy water for them in a commanding tone, if you follow. That bottle of water will have no value. They will think that whatever you do is natural. If you let them form a habit that every time you don't do what they say, will hate you, other people's attitude towards you is all nurtured by you. So what is the right method to do when they ask you to do something? Don't do it until they don't expect you to buy them water. You suddenly buy them water. Then the bottle of water has value. The real valuable contribution is not because you ask me to give it, but because I want it, so I give it. I can give it to you, but you can't ask me. What I voluntarily do for you, you will appreciate. But what you ask, then I do for you. You will feel I am weak. When you learn to refuse other people's requests in return, you will see other people start to respect you. No one can please everyone. You don't need everyone to love you. Just need the person who loves you to love you more, and the person who doesn't love you, then let them go. Never pretend to be human. The most stupid behavior is when you think of benefits in your heart, but still try to talk about morality. In the end, you lose face and suffer the hand of life. Clearly not knowing each other, but inviting people go out to eat. Clearly only want to spend 100,000 VND, but still try pretend to say, you guys order whatever you like. Then people order expensive things, in their heart, angry at the class. Clearly don't want to go, but mouth does not refuse to go. Then can't stand those hypocritical people. Others owe money, in their heart, want to collect. But mouth says, no problem. Slowly say it. Then scold that person for being untrustworthy. Aren't you tired a little bit? Simple, realistic a little bit, direct a little, cold a little. You will be much happier. The biggest stupidity in life is to give kindness to people who don't deserve it. The poor eat animals and plants. The rich eat poor people. In this world, besides those who are truly passionate, there are only two types of people who will propagate about humanity and morality all day long. The first type is the hypocritical people who are extremely intelligent. The second type is the weak, confused, and desperate. The tragic world of the weak, because the weak are already too tragic to not be heard anymore. Just imagine an ideal world in their head. Wholeheartedly want to build one heaven on earth. So they strongly propagate morality. A great man once said that no snowflake is pure. Indeed, the weak are just weak. They never thought that in the past thousands of years, among those winners, no one was completely pure, but those weak people just wanted to escape reality. What we teach, only experts can understand. Some weak people say that what we teach is too difficult. They do not agree. It is not that they do not agree, but they know that they are not capable enough to learn and use it. They are afraid that others will learn these things that are too powerful to deal with them. So they call on everyone to stop learning, according to the logic of the weak. Should women's cosmetics also be opposed because it increases the possibility of men committing crimes? You should not see a knife and hate it and call on everyone to stop using knives. Good people use knives to save the suffering and the needy. The motivation and secret behind morality is that when the weak see what we teach is too powerful, they are afraid that they and their fellow human beings will become victims. So they put forward theories of morality and humanity, hoping to control the spread of that strong ideology. When the strong see our strong things, they also do not hope that many people can learn. So they also put forward theories of morality and humanity to prevent the spread of that ideology. Their actions are the same, but their purposes are different. The purpose of the strong is they want to control the spread of our ideology, so they can hide alone in a cave to learn. These two types of people, the first type is called the island protector, the second type is called the island imposter. The so-called guardians of morality are the naive people who protect morality. They spend all day propagating about morality and humanity to save the suffering and the needy. They only think about the ideal world. In the real business war, they still live in a dream world. This type of weak people who do not know they are weak can only use for words to describe themselves as arrogant. The most pitiful thing about this type of people is when they lose. They do not know where they went wrong. Lose when others harm them. They still want to forgive the strong who harmed them. Oh, these people only need to learn our 3 levels of Kung Fu. Then they can earn a lot of money. Great man Gandhi said the classic saying, mice are not qualified to forgive cats. In the business war, They have suffered enough harassment from others, not paying debts, being attacked. They do not have any qualifications to talk about forgiveness, also do not have the qualifications to talk about tolerance. Many women hate other women stealing their husbands, hope to be able to kill the fox spirit. But I ask you, what is the use of killing that spirit? You have killed the white fox spirit. Can you guarantee your husband will not have an affair? After killing the white fox spirit, there are still black fox spirits, red fox spirits. How many can you kill? They should not hate their lover and the fox spirit, but should hate themselves for not having enough strength. The guardians of this religion believe that they are purer than anyone. They are more suitable to be in the mountains. In reality, business war is completely unsuitable for them. What is more interesting is that they still feel qualified and have the right to criticize you. They feel they have enough wisdom to teach you what is right and what is wrong. The minds of these Taoists are quite simple. They think that the world has only two, either black or white, or light or darkness. So, they all day long become messengers of light, led to the point of being able to kill people. Some of these Taoists constantly spread their ideology to others, in the hope of creating a world of great unity so that everyone believes that they are good people, and they believe that they can use their values to control the masses. Fake Taoists are different from Taoists. Taoists do not understand human nature, so they are misled and blindly deceive you. Fake Taoists understand human nature to take advantage of you. This kind of hypocrite constantly spreads the ideology of humanity to you just to make everyone believe that he is a good person, and then easily harms you. The most annoying thing is because he spreads about humanity all day long, so after he harms you, you will still forgive him. This kind of hypocrite, with his mouth waving his religion, this virtue from the outside looks like a good person, but in fact, they just want to play the role of a good person. Everyone knows that the most sophisticated deceiver has the most simple appearance. He also spreads moral ideas to you for a long time. His purpose is to make you easier to deceive so that he can easily act. Refer to the character of the bandit in the movie The Smiling Proud Wanderer. For example, when you are doing business, if the other side says every 3 sentences, the most important thing in business is honesty. I do business very frankly. What is mine is mine. What is not mine is not mine. If the other side says many similar sentences, you must be extremely wary of that person. For example, your friends keep repeating that, I actually have nothing to worry about what you do. However, I tell you the truth. Actually, he really cares about that. If he really doesn't care, why does he keep telling you that he doesn't care? People who really don't care won't say anything, or you often hear others say, I am a very straightforward person. I have never lied to anyone. I is a very moral person. If they keep repeating the same sentence more than 3 times, you should be wary of them. If someone tells you that there is no silver here, there is definitely 600 silver there. Suppose someone is currently asking you to borrow money, and that person keeps emphasizing that. You trust me, I will not cheat you. Next month I will definitely pay you. Are you still afraid that I will not pay? If they talk so much, you should be wary. The purpose of them keeping emphasizing is to reassure you. Only when you are reassured can they get that money. Friends who have a little understanding of human nature all know that the more a person promises you, the more difficult it is for them to pay their debt. They may not even pay. The more promises they make, the more it shows that they need money. Urgently, the more urgent, it shows that their situation has reached a dead end. People who make few promises to pay their debts on time, people who are full of verbal promises, the more they make promises, the more you should be wary. If a person keeps telling you that they will treat you well in the future, how will they bring you what benefits later? What great hopes do you encounter such a situation? If you want to distinguish whether the other person is telling the truth or lying, you need to ask yourself, in the process of communicating with them, what have they given you? You have noticed that many people talk very well, but if you think carefully, you will see that the more people talk, the less they act. That is the type of hypocrite. When you cannot distinguish whether a person is good or bad, do not rely on what that person says, but rely on what that person does. If a man tells a woman that, if you stay with me, I will give you a car, you do not care about his promise. See what he has given you now, then decide whether to believe him or not. Or you can frankly tell him that, you give me the car first, then I will consider. People who are deceived by hypocrites often just listen to what they say without seriously verifying their behavior. Suppose a customer tells you that he is a friend of the CEO director of a big company, and later will introduce many resources to you. He also told you that next year he will buy 10,000 boxes of your product. But when the day of ordering, he said he only needed 100 boxes for the time being. You must be extremely careful with this person. The bigger the difference between a person's promises and actual actions, the higher the possibility that he is a scammer. Good people often say they are bad people. Bad people often say they are good people. Perfect people absolutely definitely have problems. Their flaws are definitely being deliberately hidden. A person who clearly seems to have flaws is relatively more realistic. Open your eyes. In this world, people who tell the truth often look like villains. But many villains disguise themselves as a gentleman. You guys, if this is your first time coming into contact with our ideology, you may find it a little hard to accept, but I can tell you that feeling is right. As you gradually learn more, you will realize that you can feel the wonderful taste from the evil in human nature. Because whatever you hate is what you are lacking, and also what you need to open your eyes to understand humanity, to see the cold world. When you were young, watching a lot of martial arts movies, in your heart, there are only two characters, heroes and bad guys, clearly black and white. Growing up, you realize that the world is not as simple as martial arts movies. There are no absolute good people. There are also no absolute bad guys. Old man has a saying, to clear water has no fish. Actually, beyond black and white, there's also a gray area. This gray area is the key to success. Why do many people who start a business in the market fail? Most people pursue peace of mind, pursue conscience, when faced with benefits, often choose morality. You can observe Edison's dark history. He was simply a businessman. Many patents he bought back were not invented by himself. All his life, Edison was immersed in lawsuits from which you can understand what was behind Edison's work. Abroad is a matter of class. Many people are successful when appearing in public, talking about how they succeeded. But you absolutely do not believe what you need to learn is how they earned their first coin. Why do they say many bosses are guilty of the original sin? This original sin often occurs when they earn their first coin. The poison of jealousy in human nature. People accept strangers better than themselves, rather than let their close ones be better. When meeting strangers better or far superior to themselves, they will be jealous, admire, surrender, flatter. When meeting close ones better or slightly better than themselves, they will be jealous, hate, harbor malice. Most of human suffering is not because of poverty, but because of seeing close ones surpassing them. They are upset and cannot accept. This kind of people are so stupid that even pigs despise them. Tell a true story that happened in Sichuan, China. There was a couple who loved each other very much for 12 consecutive years, suffered great blows. In the past 12 years, each time they had a child, less than 3 years later, the 3 previous children died tragically, or due to poisoning, or because the emergency was not in time. When they devoted all their efforts to taking care of their 4th child, the tragedy still happened. In 2008, the child was not even 3 years old yet. What kind of couple could go through such a terrible ordeal in the world? They asked the police for help. After the investigation, the police ruled out the accident and determined it was intentional murder. The final result of the investigation was that the perpetrator was their sister-in-law. When she confessed her crime, this rural woman with an emotionless face said one sentence, "You keep giving birth to many sons, but I only give birth to daughters. I don't like it." When people's jealousy reaches a certain level, the anger that erupts in their hearts is more terrible than you can imagine. They can throw away all their close feelings, morality, and boundaries in their hearts, just screaming, "I don't have you, you can't have me. Just because you live a little better than me, you're already guilty." Except for your parents, no one wants you to live better, especially the closest people who are polite and wonderful on the outside, saying congratulations, but holding a knife in their hearts, stabbing you in the back. The saddest thing is, after overcoming all the difficulties outside, you are stabbed in the back by the person closest to you. The biggest loser in life is not the open guns, but the cruel hidden arrows from the people close to you. The jealousy and greed in human nature, when pushed to the extreme, makes people have to use themselves. You can trust people, but don't trust human nature. Humanity cannot withstand challenges. When faced with real challenges, you yourself can't face yourself. Skepticism is always safer than trust. From ancient times to the present, there has been no emperor who did not have serious suspicion. Cao Cao, Liu Bang, Xu Nuyen Trong were all willing to kill unjustly rather than trust humanity. If the opponent is weaker than you, are inferior, you are more miserable than you will sincerely hope they become better, because it is an emotion that includes pride and compassion. If the opponent achieves success before you or surpasses you will feel extremely miserable because the feeling of pride of the winner has lost. A close friend, your best friend failed the exam, you will feel very sad. Your best friend got the highest score, you will feel even sadder. Who doesn't like that? That is the dark side of human nature. Don't keep praising beauty and goodness all day long without knowing you are stupid and singing stupid songs everywhere to teach others. Don't tell others about happy things, because they won't be happy, but will only be jealous of you. Don't tell them about sad things, the boss won't pity but will only mock you. Control human nature, be fearless, then be wise. The boss of Shanghai's Du Nuyet Shan. At first, when he returned to Shanghai, he was just a poor, skinny teenager working as a servant in the famous mansion of Hong Kim Vin, the boss of Than Gang Hoi. So, how did that normal teenager become the boss of the Bun Shanghai? Because Du Nuyet Shan discovered the secret of human nature. Once, the mansion of Hong Kong Kwong was robbed by a robber. At that time, the owner wanted the servants to chase the robber, but no one dared, because they knew who dared to rob the Hong family is definitely a ferocious and cruel robber. In the end, by accident, the owner called Du Nuyet Shan to chase him, and in a foolish way, he chased him alone. Unexpectedly, he caught the thief. When he met the robber, Du Nuyet Dan was very scared. In the moment of confrontation, through the moonlight, he saw a great secret of this world on the thief's face. It was a look of extreme fear. The robber thought that this person must be a top assassin of the Hong family, to dare to chase him alone. In the extreme panic, in just a flash, the robber was caught by Du Nuyet Xanh. Fear. Du Nuyet Shen seemed to have realized that in this world, there are countless intelligent people, countless people with ideas, countless people with abilities, countless people with high education, countless people with fluency. But why is it that there are so few people who can really succeed? This is why. Because in the hearts of fearful people, there are two opposing forces, that is reason and fear. When a person is afraid, their intelligence is basically zero. That night, Du Nuyet Shan was on the cold and long street. The deserted Shanghai finally understood this world. In the Huang Mansion, there were many heroes like the Painted Dragon and the Dew Lake. In fact, all of them were so afraid that no one dared to fight against the robbers, just because they were too afraid. And the robbers were actually also afraid of death, afraid of being found by the most fearless assassin in the Huang Mansion. It turned out that this world was a world of cowards. Du Nuyet Shan laughed, so everyone was afraid like that. What was there for me to be afraid of? Before, he thought he was too small, not knowing what to do in the future. In his heart, there was a lot of confusion. Now, he understood. In fact, everyone was confused like him. And because of these confusions, their intelligence was reduced. Everyone longed for a strong person to appear to show them the direction and make decisions. And they just needed to follow that person and do whatever that person said. So, too many people long for the appearance of a strong person. Why don't I become that strong person? This world is the one with the big guts master the timid people. The brave people master the brave people. Finally, after reading this analysis and decoding of human nature, ordinary people will find it difficult to accept, but wise people will find it interesting. They can say that this is not the right path, but in their hearts, they can cannot leave it. They can use these tricks to step up to the top of the food chain. Human nature is not necessarily good nor necessarily evil. It is not beautiful nor ugly. Human nature is like a knife. Criminals use knives to kill people. Doctors use knives to save people. As people say, one thought becomes Buddha. One thought becomes demon. The distance between Buddha and demon is just one thought. Astrospats, the unvarnished truth about us. What do you think? Are we doomed to selfishness? Or can we rise above it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading everyone. If this hit home, hit subscribe and ring the bell for part 3. We're tackling love, betrayal, and more. Share this with someone who needs a wake-up call. See you